Hi, I'm Peachy.
Hi there. My name's Patrick.
Hi, I'm Jeff. And I'm already done. That's it, I'm done. Right, bye.
We should just do hands. We should just move on to hands.
Element Games, Patreon, see you, bye. Stage left.
That's the podcast done. That is the podcast done. So another day.
Another day.
Another chat.
Indeed.
Well, we did mention that we want to remind people if they do subscribe to our Patreon, we are going to be giving a giveaway.
We are giving away now.
At the end of the month. So you could win this Inquisitor. Chuck that down there. You could win quarter paint airbrush. I'm not going to chuck that down there.
No. Ooh, gently.
Or I'll get it right this time. I'll put it sideways like I did the other day. Desecrator. So these will be all for grabs if you are an existing Patreon or if you join us.
We've got till the 31st of January to be in the draw.
Yeah. Do you remember what the last date was? I'm often like, is it 30? Is it 31? Can't remember.
Yeah, there we go.
You count on your knuckles.
I'm not. I can't
31, don't you? Because then the two months that have 31, like your peaks are 31 and your troughs are not 31.
Well,
I don't have any months where I peak. All my months are trough.
Hey, you're consistent and I like it.
You're consistent at being shaka. Well done. But at least you're consistent. But somebody likes us enough because we've got a present.
We got a present.
We got a present.
Ooh.
It's wrapped and everything. It's incredible.
Who is this from?
Go on, I'll let you pull the bow.
You want? Are you going to ask me to put my hand in a box now?
I am, yes.
Why is the box got a hole in it?
Right. Now this present has been kindly given to us by Mr. Andrew Gibson.
Andrew Gibson.
Yes, is one of our patrons, and he thought that the what may well be become called Pat's Nuke, when we can see Pat when he sits in his little nuke over there sometimes.
Is there a knife over there, Pat, anywhere?
There was somewhere.
Imagine if all amongst all this hobby and stuff, we might have a scalpel.
Oh no, the scalpel's in the other room because I was
go on, raw.
I was building my custards in the other room.
Of course, you're having fun building your custards.
I am having fun, apart from the Forge World bits, but
less said about them the better. We moaned about them off air. Andy thought that the little nuke when we have
Just watching me struggle. I was really good.
I'm just going to wait because this is far more entertaining. Anyway, he thought it looked a little bit like it could do with a bit of bit of colour splash.
This corner I strategically cropped out the mess.
Yes.
There's a monitor here that is blank and my computers are there. And we've got some artwork behind.
Oh, look at that bad boy.
Ooh.
Thank you very much, Andy. That is awesome.
I think
it's very kind.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I'm going to have some artwork behind me now. Yeah. One of which, Ozzy, one of our patrons, he's a very stalwart Eldar fan.
He'll be well.
So he'll be a fan of that. Shout out to Ozzy in the Discord. Thank you for your support.
From just looking at this piece of art, I think they've scaled the current avatar of Kane Plastic wrong.
Yeah, definitely a Forge World piece now, I would say that.
Yeah, sort it out, lads.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I'd like a bit of art in their man cave or as well studio.
Yes. But that'll look great up there behind you.
Yeah.
This googly eyes on it.
This rusted is. I've still got them on my hand. I just looked at them and almost laughed. No, this room is colloquially known as the Stoffice.
This is Stoffice. Oh, I like it.
Studio office.
That's a good. It's a good play on that.
So, should we talk about why I've got googly eyes?
I think we should. We should delve deep into that.
On my hands. I feel like that was a strong opener and we can't ignore it.
No. Because we have been known to start the show with an idea and then not happen.
Well, I mean, like last week's chat show, we just ended up talking about Necromunda for an hour, which was great fun.
Let's hope everybody else thinks so.
Somebody else said that they equally hated my phonetic alphabet as much as you did.
He's ex-military as well.
Oh, is he?
The Jed's in question. Yes, he is. Yes.
Why have I got googly eyes on my hand?
I don't know, Pat. Why have you got googly eyes on your hands?
Oh, you're throwing it back there.
Go on then, Billy Big Bollocks. Why have you got googly eyes on your hands?
You started it, you can finish it.
Because I'm an idiot.
Imagine if that was the only answer.
Yeah.
I just felt like...
And then we'll end the podcast for the second time in 10 minutes. No, so Warhammer YouTube painting videos have gone only hands.
Only hands. At least that we're aware of so far.
Yes, it looks like at the time of recording this that there might be some old videos that they're kind of filtering out.
I wouldn't say I'm privy to those details, but I knew we were working on some of those before I parted.
Yes.
So yeah, it just feels like they may have been pushed back a bit. But yeah.
So
Imagine the crime it would be to not to be able to see you.
I don't think it's a crime because I've got a face for radio and I look like a murderer. So I think it'll probably be safer for the general public. Sorry, I mean, this is why we do podcasts now, like Spotify, so you'd have to look at my mug.
Yeah.
So
I think there's like a larger sort of topic of discussion around this with Games Workshop sort of removing the artist from
the art.
Yeah.
Quite literally. There was that Helbrecht's picture that was like, hey, this is what the new Helbrecht model was based on. And they photoshopped the artist's signature out to the point where they took the little cleany sword guy on the base. He's photoshopped in everywhere, like cleaning out. He was scrubbing out the signature and genius. But I feel like this has been something GW's been doing for a while.
Oh yeah.
And then now with the painting videos, so it is just hands.
Yeah. So I guess
interesting. Want to know your
Well,
thoughts?
eventually it would just be hands by GW. If it's like the GW team for this and the GW team for that, there's just be GW hands. They won't belong to anyone.
Do you think what they'll do is paint their nails and it'll be like, help me? And they'll make everyone wear gloves then.
I was going to say, it won't be long before we're all gloves, to see people's chewed up fingers like mine.
Yeah.
I just thought it to be like completely inclusive, and so you wouldn't know who had painted it. Everybody will just have their fingernails painted, the men and the women.
Yeah.
Or wear like green gloves, so you could green screen your own hands onto the model.
It's apologies for interrupting.
No, it's all right.
I was watching a Richard Gray video recently.
Yeah,
as I quite often do when I want to feel really bad about myself.
when you at that point where you're thinking, do I want to throw the paintbrushes out?
And it looked like he had painted nails, and I was like, hey, Richard Gray paints his nails. Like, that's aggressive, like, inclusivity, progressive dude. Maybe it's not even that progressive. He paints his nails. Who cares? And then like a few minutes, I was primer.
Always do that. I mean, as we saw with the Votann tanker, I just hold the handle without no gloves on.
The comments about that.
That was more of a pushback to the old health and safety.
So I said you were going to end up with hands like you're in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But I thought we'd have to chop one of your fingers off for that.
Oh, yeah.
So, going handless, not crediting people at Games Workshop has been a thing for a long time. Where I think I heard, a bit of hearsay about where that came about, with protecting their staff from, like, online hate.
Yeah.
Which I can understand.
Well, you protect them already because they basically they turn the comments off. I know that doesn't completely cure it, but
I mean,
go some way.
For me, right, you should have a choice.
Yeah.
To be credited or not to be credited, right? And you should have a choice whether to be a face or not a face. Because some people don't want their face on there. We know there's a few YouTube presenters out there that don't like to share their face because it makes them anxious. Mm-hmm. They have low self-esteem or whatever reasons they don't want to share their face. Yeah. And that's fine.
And it worked. Like Pete the Wargamer, he doesn't show his face.
No, not often.
I've seen him in like a Warhammer, like the Heresy promo stuff.
Yeah, you see his face and other things.
Like when you're so used to hearing someone and then you put the sound of them to a face and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expect.
Pete's voice sounds about 20 years older than Pete looked.
That's it, yes. I was like, he's so young.
Yeah. I mean, because I was there early days of, not the early days of the studio, it's been around a long time, but for me, it was still quite a big thing. It was what people refer to as the Ivory Tower. It was never really the Ivory Tower. It was a great place to work. But that was the time when, we were credited. Everyone got credited, whether you were a graphic designer, an editor, So everybody that contributed to a book got their name in the book.
Yeah.
Which I think, if I was to look back, I mean, there's arguments for and against, and I know there'll be a lot of comments in the comments about what people think about this.
It's good to promote a bit of discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see the benefits of not crediting, but I also see the huge flaws and negatives of not crediting. So if you're a graphic designer and you want to go off and do graphic design elsewhere, how can you prove what you've done?
Absolutely.
If you're not credited.
Yeah.
If you're an editor and you want to go and get a job in media, how do you prove what you've edited?
I have no proof short of like getting a reference, I guess.
I guess the reference is anything you're going to get, but you could be lying and saying that's my work.
Yeah,
my work.
Yeah,
you could.
Like this channel's built on a lie. I never worked at Games Workshop.
Yeah. I don't really remember seeing you there, actually. It's weird. Apart from just out of the bench.
I am going to have to confess at some point in time that I don't actually cut Ronaldo's hair.
Man. But yeah,
I've not that for years.
Yeah.
I think it really, if I can pinpoint a time when it really sort of like became an issue, was, we've talked about it before, the Matt Ward situation.
Yeah.
And I think some of that is down to him just getting the name on the frontispiece page and him being named solely responsible for that book when it was a whole team of people and scheduling and play testing.
Yeah.
So you can't just put it all on one guy. And I know there's someone putting in the comment and go, you can't take me seriously, Peachy, because I like Matt Ward. Well,
somebody did say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could listen to the internet because we know it's full of lies and rumour, or you could bear in mind that I work with a guy and I know he's a nice guy. So wind your neck in and don't comment again because you're obviously useless at making opinions for yourself. Oh, it's true.
There we go.
Well, I mean, I work with Matt Ward. He's the loveliest man I've ever worked with. It's a pleasure to work with Matt Ward.
Yeah.
I think he got more stick than he deserved. Everyone makes mistakes. People are human, right?
Yeah.
People are human. I make mistakes all the time. I do paint guides, and then people make comments go, you just made bronze. Why don't you just say bronze? I'm like, you're right. Why did I say gold?
Stormcast.
Yeah. It is bronze. You're absolutely right. It was just one of those colours I mixed because I like the colour of it because it looked like liberated gold. But you're right, it is just bronze.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that where you make like choices and you don't think about the grand scheme of the world and colours and someone like called you out on it and you're just like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I've got the humility and the lack of care to go, cool. I'll move on with my life. But yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely bob on.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of started there because he got a lot of hate and, cut a long story short, he ended up leaving the business. I don't think through his own choice because people did research on him saying that this guy keeps getting lots of negativity on the internet. Why do we employ him? So that's, I think, one of the main reasons that people weren't credited was because it detrimentally affected his career and his career after. So if he was trying to get a job for other publishers, a lot of people just do quick internet searches when you've got someone, and all this is the top things are negative.
Yeah.
So it's going to really scupper your chances. So there's that side of it, which is you get a lot of hate for making a decision.
Yeah.
Which might not necessarily all be your decision.
So say like the Votann Codex, for example, was, I mean, it was so overpowered that GW did their first ever apology video. Right?
Yeah.
Saying, we're really sorry we got it wrong.
That's the way James about a hibernation.
Yes. Yeah, I'd love that.
Even then, right, if on the front page it went Leagues of Votann, written by the Citadel writing team and had all the names of the writers that contributed to it, you're not going to just go, these guys are idiots. It's not. They're not. Everyone has this. A lot of spinning plates.
So I remember they said that they tested it against newer codexes at the time that had then since been nerfed. So it was a powerful codex against overpowered codexes.
Yeah.
So essentially they had to like nerf it twice, I guess, to bring it in line.
Yeah.
Which isn't sort of like the knee-jerk reaction, I guess, would be like if there were names there, they'd be like, "Look, it's Dave's fault."
Yeah.
Heresy,
Dave.
I hate.
But
sorry.
The flip side is, they have all these schedules to keep.
Yeah.
Probably not given enough time. It's not play tested enough.
Yeah.
And all of these decisions, because of the printing, is like the codex was sent to print, what, like 3 months or more before release? Like, I remember on the Dam, so the first ever battle report that we filmed was Pat versus Suggs, like Orcs and Blood Angels.
Yeah.
And the new Orc codex hadn't been released yet. But I could just log into this GW software called the Dam, and I was like, oh, the new alt codex, and just printed it out, and I was like, yeah, fine, whatever. And I was like, Christ, I could take this home and people would go absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
But it's
I mean, if we go to like the Votann situation again, a few people said that the battle report I was involved in with Simon, I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
We played a couple of games before, and very much like how White Dwarf used to do their White Dwarfs. They'll play a few, and then they'll pick which was the best to do as the battle report, or amalgamate a few, because you don't want to just show off, oh, look, we've got this new army, it's just trounced this army. No, that made it dull. Yeah. You've got to make a story, but sometimes it's like taking elements of that game which was fun, this game that was fun, or just do 3 games and pick which one was the most engaging, even if the new codex lost.
Yeah.
And me and Si did a couple of test games. The first game, he got the first turn, trounced me. Second game, I got the first turn, trounced him. Third game was like, oh, this is interesting. Let's have a look at like why that happened, and then you know, talk through some tactics and thoughts to make it engaging. I mean, I wasn't expecting to win that, but I thought, well, and people were saying, no, you only lost because you had the worst codex possible. It's not.
Because this was the newest codex versus the oldest codex.
Pretty much, yeah.
And you beat him in an unaired game.
Yeah. Because I literally wiped out all his outriders in the first turn with like 5 superiority, and then other stuff got killed. But it got to the point where I was like, he's going to struggle to win this game now. Yeah. And that was all down to the dice roll. So folks saying that it's, you know, you're only won because you used the worst codex, I was like, well, that's... Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a great general, but sometimes odds do go in your favour. Yeah. And a few choices of tactics. Not that I have great tactics, but... but yeah, so sometimes with like codexes and army books, it's the first impressions people get. So like the very first impression was a game on Warhammer Plus, which was new Votann versus old codex. So and then of course, you know, we find out that it's been nerfed. You're right.
Yeah, I realised I forgot to put a light on.
It was the way you were looking nervously around, like, what's...
I thought it was cold.
Is that how you get your heat now, just from that one lamp?
I told you, turn the radiators off. I only come round here to do these to warm up.
But yeah, I do remember the day when no one was being credited, and there wasn't that much sort of like people kicked up a fuss, but it was a bit like, oh, I used to like getting credited, and I can't show my mum now what I've worked on.
I remember asking in a meeting when we were doing the pilots for the bat reps, and I was like, do I need to put credits on the end? Like, no one said anything. As long as I know we don't credit anyone. I was like, well, that's terrible. And especially with moving into like the Warhammer Plus side of things, if they're wanting to attract like good names in, like big names in animation and stuff like that, like you'd be like, look, this person made this. Yeah. And I know they've done some interviews with people on like what was the Deep Strike? When they were like, yeah, you did this, wasn't that bolter really cool? Yes, that was my favorite bit when the gun went off. I'm getting sidetracked because I hate Deep Strike.
I worked on that, man. I liked it. The 2 I ever did. It's because, as you know, if I'm doing the show, I always drank mine before the show. So I actually did have tea in mine.
They're the only one.
So they did a bit of that, didn't they? But
So, I mean, you mentioned about like to keep the staff safe. I strongly disagree with that. Good. I've heard it being said a few times, like, we want to keep our staff safe. I had more threats to me when I worked on the Wines and Spirits counter at QuickSave than I ever have working for Games Workshop.
Oh, I've got to be honest, I thought you were going to say since you got here.
Since I got here. I've had more threats to my life working with this guy. So, yeah, I mean, in Alistry, which is where QuickSave was, where I used to work, they were a few alcoholics that would come to the Wines and Spirits counter, and if they didn't get their wine or their spirits, they kicked up a fuss. And I had quite a few people threaten to wait for me outside of work and hurt me. I've never had that working for Games Workshop. Because, well, most of the people aren't alcoholics and murder-filled crazy folks. But then at the same time, we talk about keeping staff safe. Yeah, I know from personal experience, and others have gone to do seminars, painting seminars in the States. Why do people need to take a gun into a painting seminar? Just because you've got a right to open carry in that state, why do you need a gun for a painting seminar?
Don't get me started.
I don't particularly feel safe doing a painting seminar with someone open carrying. I don't understand. I mean, it's your democratic right. I get it. It's fine. But it's what you expected to happen in the painting seminar that requires a pistol.
I don't know. Somebody might really dislike the way you paint.
Maybe it's the dry brushing and the finger wiping.
Yeah.
It really triggers some people.
Yeah. You
Literally triggers them.
Oh,
So, but yeah, I mean, you know, we talk about people feeling, you know, being made to feel safe. I didn't feel safe at LVA. I was locked in a room that everyone forgot about with 20 people I've never met in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I can look after myself, but, you know.
Yeah.
And there was the conversations after, like, yes, next year we'll make sure, you know, we've got a representative with it. Never happened because it costs money to get an extra human to the States. So I was always on my own.
Yeah.
And for four or 5 days in a row.
Tinfoil hats.
Tinfoil hats.
Oh, God.
Okay, yeah.
The tinfoil hat is firmly on. I'm going to say this is, you know, this is an ex-GW staff member who no longer works there. Perhaps didn't have the best time of their life working there. But so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. Completely my opinion. Do we think that they use that safety, we're protecting our staff as a way of just like removing and not crediting people because they don't want to make names after Big D,
the Dunks,
the Dunkmeister?
So I do think that Duncan leaving had an effect.
I think it did
on perceptions of presenters.
Yeah.
Now I've got two thoughts about this. I know Duncan's the same. So when Duncan joined to be a painter presenter, it was back in the day, I was still in the army painter team. Me and my mate Steve were just like, why would you do that? It doesn't make money. I'm worried for your career. I mean, we've talked about this, and I've talked about my wife about this because she said, you used to really be worried for Duncan's career because doing free paint guides, surely, how does that make money for the business? This is like early days of marketing, so it was like really early. Yeah. So we were generally worried for his career. And then, because I didn't understand YouTube, I understand it a lot more these days. But, and then obviously, he didn't join that team to be a celebrity or to be famous. He joined that because he wanted to teach people how to paint.
Yeah.
I missed painting. And I know we worked well together, and we had a lot of fun together in all the years of being in the army painters and whatever. And when a job came up, I was at the point of management where I was just, we talked in a previous podcast as well, I've had enough of this. So the opportunity came up, like, I like teaching people how to paint. I'm going to get that opportunity to be creative again and do some painting.
Yeah.
My reasons for joining the team was to teach people how to paint.
Yeah.
So if you're joining the team to help people, then you're joining it for the right reasons. Ego, everyone's got an ego to a certain degree, but ego's removed. So I understand that some people are worried that you're only joining because you want to be a celebrity. It's like, well, you got to ask the reasons why you're joining. I joined because I wanted to help. Duncan joined because he wanted to help. Yeah, I know a fair few people back there at workshop that joined because they want to help. Some join because they think it's, a fast track to being a famous person.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of like balance of like, is it right or wrong to remove the face? I personally think you need that face because it's someone to relate to. And if I go back to my wife's analogy, it's teaching.
Yeah.
You relate well to some teachers than you do to others.
Yeah.
But that teacher you don't relate to, others relate to that one.
Yeah.
So having faces and personalities on camera, some people relate to. Some people love Duncan more than me, but some people like my guys more than Duncan's because of the way I approached in comparison to the way he approached. Yeah. So none of us were either right or wrong. We just have different teaching methods, and that's the way I've always seen the guides with them.
Just have level it out, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So some people go, I prefer Duncan, I don't like you. I don't take that personally because it's like, I know you prefer his paint guides.
Yeah.
They mean something to you. You understand them better. The way I communicate obviously isn't on your level, whereas other people, it is on their level. So having the face and the personality there, I think helps with the teaching side of things. When it just becomes hands and a voice, it loses the human element.
Yeah.
And my thought process was, when we were in the Derby store or any kind of retail store, you were the hub of the community. People didn't just come there because your Games Workshop. They came there because it was a community, and you were, I guess, the head of that painting community or that hobby area for that time.
Yeah.
If you were just wearing balaclavas and full face masks and weren't allowed to actually talk to the people and just point where to go, do you think you're going to get many people coming back?
No,
absolutely.
And because the views on the videos they're not massive anymore, I don't think, are they? Like, you look at all the biggest ones,
compared to their subs.
Yeah, and granted, not everybody subscribes for the painting videos, but that's a lot of the content. But you look at the most viewed.
Yeah.
And quite often it's like the cinematic trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But then it's some of like the older videos that Duncan did like years ago that have like hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah. I mean, granted, they're a few years old, so it's going to still add. But
more time on that.
So I there's a thing that I used to notice. So when I was with Dunk and we were doing the vids, you would like do a variety of different videos, but they'll be like the tip of the days, which was like you film it in the morning for like an hour and a half, and then Roger or Dermot would like edit it, and then by 3 o'clock it's published.
Yeah.
So you're literally doing those tip of the days in the morning, and they were quite good fun because people would request stuff. So like, I don't know, Sam Wilson has asked how to paint, a power sword in the colours of purple, and then you do a video. It's personal to that person. It's helpful to other people.
Yeah.
But it's like engaging with the community, and they were good fun. But they used to get like 15K in the first couple of hours.
Yeah.
Where it takes weeks to get to that now. Or at least when I was there. Except when Horus Heresy hit, they did quite well.
Yeah, they did well, the Horus Heresy videos, yeah.
So it's definitely been, and I think a bit of that was that sort of hiatus, if you like, when Warhammer Plus became the new shiny toy.
Yeah.
And YouTube videos were ignored for time.
Oh, for ages.
So I think people just forgot that we were making, we were there to make videos. We weren't making any.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that 5 to 6 month period of us not making one every 3 weeks, if we were lucky, had an effect on the numbers for sure. But that builds up again. I mean, you will get that build, but I watch people for who they are. So like I like 1 to 6 scale collectible figures, right? I also like Lego. I don't watch Jang Bricks on Lego because he talks about Lego. I watch it because of him and the way he talks.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Justin Collectibles who just opens up and talks. You never see his face, you only see his hands because obviously he doesn't want to show his face, but his personality still shows through there to a certain degree. And I guess that's the argument, which is you can still have personality with hands because Pete the Wargamer does it.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, All Spectacular, he's nearly 200,000 subscribers.
Yeah. But that goes, I mean, this Justin's Collectibles is like 167,000. But it still goes back to my point, which is that's a choice.
Yeah.
They've made that choice.
Yeah. So I think my personal opinion on it is, again, tinfoil hat still on. Could be completely wrong. I'm just an angry nerd. Like the not crediting stuff is a wider Games Workshop issue.
Oh yeah,
I think in the marketing, So in the marketing, sculptors on Instagram are like, I'm proud to have
worked on this,
been in the proximity of someone who sniffed this resin. My dog knows their second cousin. It's really funny.
It's even Darren Latham's doing that.
Yeah,
I'm proud to be part of the team that worked.
Yeah,
I made it.
Someone said in the comments, they were like, "Oh no, like they can credit themselves if they want to," and it's like
they can't.
No, they can't.
No, they're told off.
They can't.
But just imagine that I was proud to be on the part of the team, of the one-man team.
Yeah,
that made this model.
Yeah.
Could do that.
Because I think he did the who's the heavy metal painter? Max, and then I always butcher his surname.
Fillet.
Yeah. He seems to have a bit of clout, and I think he painted the Inquisitor that we're giving away.
Yeah.
I saw a post of him that he was sort of like, yeah, I painted this, and Darren Latham sculpted it. We're a great team. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. But you always get, like, the half-truths. Like, I was proud to, sculpt one rivet on this. Anyway, sorry, apologies. Sidetracked. Name of the show. So, that aside, I think in marketing and painting, like, Duncan got really big.
Yeah.
And he took that success, and he's doing his own thing, and arguably had more success. I feel like, again, opinion, higher ups in marketing have gone, we made him and he's betrayed us. Yeah. I talked about previously, like when I left, it was like, you're out the family, you've married a commoner and you're gone.
Yeah.
I'd watched a lot of Downton
at
the time.
I'm getting that.
I've never even seen it, even I was getting that.
Yeah. I've been watching more Happy Valley recently. That's really good. So Sarah Lancaster, she's great. Anyway, so I think there's been the knee-jerk reaction. Like my first day of working at GW, I was in a meeting with my line manager, and he described Duncan's leaving as contentious. And I was like, okay, clearly that's...
So, I mean, this is the problem, and it's rife in any creative business, is you got to look at the reasons why they left.
Yeah. So if I was...
Not because he wants to take all that fame and go off and make it... I mean, from our point of view, right, it's been hard work over the last few months. I'm not in this to make quick, big bucks. I mean, painting toy soldiers, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
What are you on about? We want to be millionaires.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, if you're in it for that, you're in it for the wrong reasons. And
I've already got my eye on an island.
your creativity will dry up because you're only in it for the cash. You're not in it for the teaching, and the fun, all those good things that you want, the wholesome stuff. But you got to pick at why people move on, and people. I don't know if it would be the same for my reasons of leaving. Like in a year's time, they were like, oh yeah, it was just ego driven, it was full of ego. I mean, some people probably think that it never was. I had so many reasons for leaving, and going off and being happy and doing stuff I really wanted to do and help people in a way that I felt was right, that didn't quite align with what the business wanted. And the business is fine to make those choices because it's
their business. like
fine.
But
I got bored.
Yeah.
I got bored doing the same thing, which wasn't, in my opinion, particularly helpful.
Yeah.
Or to some degree, it did help some entry levels, but not all entry levels. But the Duncan leaving thing. I mean, I for my sins, I was a bit sore about it because we were good mates, and it was, for me, it was the way it happened. It was quite a shock, and when you've worked with someone for so long, and then suddenly you're told on the day that your best buddy's leaving. It's just like, oh. So I mean, it was raw for me for a long time. I mean, it was all water under the bridge between me and Rose. I mean, we discussed that, but my opinions for being angry were very different. Not even angry, just miffed and annoyed and shocked and upset. And,
so it sounds like they surprised a lot of people when they left.
But again, there were so many reasons for them leaving, and they did what was right for them and what was right. I guess, I mean, for me, I like to think I did what was right for the business as well, because if I stayed, I would have become miserable and grumpy, toxic. I would have started going, oh yeah, well, you don't want to talk to that person because they don't know what they're doing, and you don't, just follow me, come here, small cabal, I'll teach you everything you need to.
Yeah.
So there's the danger of when you keep people in there sad or angry. I mean,
there's enough of them.
Well,
absolutely.
But I mean, when I was younger and more enthusiastic, well, I still am enthusiastic, but when I was younger and more naive, I would probably say. That was when I was a manager as well in retail, as well as like in the army painted team and the studio. I used to see these people, these bitter, sort of jaded staff members, and I'd be like, what's wrong with them? Why are they being so miserable? But when you've gone through that journey and you think to yourself, oh, it wasn't one thing, it was 1,000 small things that all mount up.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
And you get to the point where you've just had enough. You're just like, life's got to be better than this, surely. Why do I dread coming into work? Or I have no sort of drive anymore. I mean, mine was drive. Mine was, I could have stayed there and just ticked the boxes all day, every day.
Yeah.
But I would have lost who I am. And I think people have noticed it as well, as like where I am now and what I do here is very different to the person who I was
the amount of comments that we get that are like, love Peachy Unchained.
Yeah. Seems so much happier. Oh God, I've had £1 for every one of them.
We won't need Patreon.
Because I love doing this. Like I love making videos, being creative, working with great people.
And he's not on about it.
No.
I think he meant people that are great.
If I'm out of bed on time, I'll pre-boil the kettle.
Warms the pot.
Keris took the piss out of me the other day because I heard a noise and I looked out the window. She's like, "Is it your boyfriend?" I was like, "Yeah, I've just seen it pull up."
Just feel like it's great.
Like that. It's like, this is. You could say, "Oh, this is how Games Workshop could have been," but it can't be that.
No,
it never can be. And I'm getting sidetracked, but I think from Duncan leaving, that left enough of a mark on the higher ups that they've tried to pull back the creative because they're like, we don't, because there's more presenters now.
Far more.
Way more. They've diversified the pool, so nobody is like a big standout star. And then now they're just hands.
I mean, there's a logic to the hands thing, which I understand and I fully get. which is to make it, and this is stuff I was aware of before I left, which was to make it that if you do a video where it's so scripted that someone that, like, if you want to put it into China, or if you want to put it into Germany or Spain or wherever,
I'll just dub it.
it can be dubbed.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about the face. So it's like a codex, an army book. You can make it for any country you need to. So there's a strength to that, but at the same time it loses a lot of its personality. And I'm not saying that you're in it for the personality, but that's what
I think
makes creatives what they
Yeah, because people applauded, like when the marketing department was started, and they were like, "Oh, GW used to be this big faceless company, and nobody knew anything." And it's like, "Here's Duncan, and he's nice, and he's teaching me how to paint and tooth and coats. Ah, great."
And now it's becoming faceless again.
And then they were like, "Yeah, this is great. It's opening up." And then now they seem to be closing ranks again.
Yeah.
I think, personally for me, I think one of the sad things from it, although yes, I know you still have a voice to be able to identify to it, but I think by going to hands, you really restrict who gets interested in Warhammer. If you've got plenty of female faces, it helps push the hobby a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a 25-year-old woman is a presenter. I'm a 25-year-old woman. I've seen my boyfriend playing it, or I've walked past Warhammer.
Not Jeff.
Well, Saturday to Sunday I am. But I think you're potentially reducing a visible demographic.
Yes.
And I don't think that helps.
No.
I think if anything, where we are currently as a society, you should be looking at trying to, on a lot of levels, go the other way, is sort of go, have a wide range of colourful people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
seen as like the faces of games.
I watched a documentary on Amazon. It's really worth watching because there's so many similarities across the years with Workshop, and I think it's called the Art of D&D, and it basically it's like a documentary, and it goes through talking to a lot of the early artists, so like Clyde Caldwell, Brom, Keith Parkinson, who passed away. He was not in it, but you've got like Jeff Easton and the other guys, and it talks from their point of view and the way they talk about some of the things that happened in the business that they worked with, like what was it, TSR at the time?
Yeah, TSR.
It was just like, God, that sounds like Workshop in the 90s and the early 2000s. And then they get to the point where you need to concentrate on diversifying and making it accessible to all. So you get a lot more different artists with different styles, different genders in there, and whatever. And you open up to all markets, and there was pushback against that. But if it was, and like Workshop, it was very much aimed at. It wasn't aimed. You never said it was, but it very much gravitated towards boys and men.
Oh yeah,
and D&D did. I mean, you had like a few girls back in like
you look
college.
At the photographs of D&D back in the day. It was all long-haired, glasses-wearing hippies.
Yeah.
Sitting around, and
there
might be someone's girlfriend just out of shot.
Yeah, the old story was it Gary Gygax's wife was like, he's having an affair. He's going over to this house and like going there. He must be having an affair, and she like barged in, and it was just him and his mates like writing D&D and playtesting stuff like that. It's good.
It's probably what my wife thinks about this.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, darling. He's hairier than you. There's nothing you can compete with right now.
And you still don't know who we're talking about.
That's a bit. He's got glasses. He's got a beard, luscious hair.
But I think by reducing it to hands, I don't think you help the overall image of
no
personally.
But I think maybe that's our job now.
Yeah.
In a way, not that we're like, don't worry, GW, we've got this. Like, I'm not that arrogant, but
I am.
I mean, yeah, it's like I'm very
the Warhammer world.
There's elements that I'm a fence sitter on, and other elements I just don't agree with.
Yeah,
because I agree so much with having a face because it's relatable, it's humanizing a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't recall any artist back in the day when I was a kid that just did hands, and if they did, I've forgotten them. But I remember Bob Ross, and I remember Tony Hart, and Neil Buchanan for Art Attack.
Oh, I love that.
And even the guy from Smart, who I always forget his name.
What about the other guy, the Australian guy? No, we don't.
Steve Irwin.
No, not him. That other artist.
Oh, yeah, Rolf Harris.
Yeah. Oh,
Rolf Harris. Yeah, I forgot about him.
whatever happened to him?
He was a nonce.
I was trying to keep it sort of ambiguous, and Pat just shot it down straight up.
That is such a 70s terminology.
So, yeah, he was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Animal Hospital. That was my childhood.
Yeah.
And then, he's ruined a lot of people's childhood.
I think a lot of childhood.
He's ruined a lot of people's animals. So I remember I didn't know he was accused of that.
Enough about that person.
Sugg said to me once when we were in the office, she said, I've got a bone to pick with your generation. And I was like, what are you on about? She's like, Jimmy Savile, how did you let it happen? I was like, you got to remember my generation at the time was 5. What can I possibly do to correct that situation? We're the ones that got affected.
Somehow it was your fault.
It's my fault, apparently. I wanted to go on Jim Will Fix It. Because I used to love watching Who Dares Wins, right? The actual movie with
Lewis
Collins, thank you.
Oh, right, okay.
And I love the scene when they're in the Iranian embassy. Oh, it's the American embassy, isn't it? Yeah. And he's running down the corridors and they've got SAS with him and stuff like that, and the music. And I wrote to Jim Will Fix It to do that scene. So glad he never said yes. So glad, because Men in Hoods taking me down a corridor would have been something very different in those days.
He fixed it for me to milk a cow blindfolded.
And we're ending the podcast for the third time.
But why would you say that?
So, getting away from...
To be fair, I never started it.
That's true, yeah. Sorry, yeah, anyway, yeah, faces. Faces and bases makes models aces. Ain't working anymore.
About diversity, I mean, I realise we're 3 white guys sat in a small room. It's kind of like pot kettle black sort of thing. But I was out for a mate's birthday, and one of his friends, like friend of a friend, is into Warhammer, and he knows a few people that work there, because if you've lived in Nottingham long enough, you know someone that works at Games Workshop, because they're just like a ginormous employer. And he was like, oh, a mate of mine went for the painting job, but you don't get them unless you're a woman these days. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, just matters what's between your legs. It doesn't matter how well you can paint. He was like, my mate's so good at painting, and he got told he was too good, and he didn't get the job. And I was like, one, that sounds a bit, desperate. But 2, it's kind of like...
It's also how you come across in the interview.
It's how you come across in the interview. It's like, maybe there's incredible painters out there. Not all of them are cut out for a presenting job.
No.
Yeah. And there should be a mix of people and genders and all that sort of stuff. Like, I remember asking my sister about this ages ago, being like, why is diversity important? She was like, well, you can't be what you can't see. And it's like, I'm grown up being like, yeah, I could be, well, I'm not tall enough to be a superhero, but it's like white people, everything, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And all that sort of thing. So it's like women in painting and stuff like super important.
I thought, to be fair, I've always thought from the minute she appeared on my radar with my return into Warhammer, I've loved Lou being a semi-face of Warhammer, because she dresses cool, she's a bit gothy, she's not very big, so then when you put her with a massive chainsaw, it looks really funny and effective. And I think all of that sort of created a really nice package of a person to represent a company, instead of it being a bespectacled bearded man. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't, because it was the thing of going, look, she's doing all the cool boy stuff, while not being a boy. So all the things that I go, going, God, I'd love to hold a chainsaw, but we've given it to a little 5-foot+ Scottish girl to do it. And I sort of personally thought it was really, really cool. And I think if they move away from that, I think it'd be a terrible shame.
Is Masterclass going only hands?
I hope not.
I reckon it will.
Oh,
you reckon?
God, I hope not. That'd be terrible.
Well, what a waste of a backdrop. Because that was like a lot of money.
Right, don't right.
This is the other issue I have with marketing.
I'm rocking backwards and forwards. I'm ready to dive down.
Is they throw money at stuff so much that I remember during the Warhammer Plus era when it was being made, they were chucking money left and right at getting like these backdrops made, and there was me and Joe going, "Can we have a new camera, please?"
Yeah.
We just need one more camera. You keep taking our cameras and our lights. Can we just have enough stuff so we can do our job? Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just weird, but
because people really look down on the YouTube. They're like, it's only YouTube painting.
But yeah, and again, this is Duncan's legacy, which is him. Regardless whether you liked it then or like it now, they, I think, spurred marketing to be what it is today.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because at the time, the social media was two people doing stuff on Facebook.
Really?
And Roger and Duncan doing YouTube videos that went on YouTube, and then obviously I think every now and again they'll get mentions in Facebook, and then eventually they became like posts on Facebook.
Yeah.
More regularly, but
because without Duncan and Roger starting doing the videos, there's no masterclass because they wouldn't have realised how useful they are to the business.
So yeah.
But yeah,
Go on.
Citadel
Desperate.
Citadel masterclass set, biggest waste of money ever. Let me tell you why.
Okay, go on. I think you're going to. You don't get a choice, Jeff. Let's just strap yourself in.
I'm getting a bit of short.
Yeah. Get a biscuit. You're not going to be able to get a word in edgeways
quick
for 10 minutes. No. So when they were being built, the chap that was in charge of like signing off the designs he drove all the way up to the set builders to touch the fake bricks to check that the texture was right and that they looked good.
Oh God, I'm sighing already.
So you couldn't just have pictures of like pictures of bricks.
I mean, bricks are bricks, right?
Well, these are like slightly 3D. And to be fair, if you uplight them, they catch the light differently and all that sort of stuff. So it makes sense that they're slightly three-dimensional. But a lot of thought went into like a brick. And a lot of money, the desk, there's the sword, there's all the racks to put the paint pots on, there's the Citadel Masterclass sign that was put on like way too high and you can't see it. But you walk into the set and it is just like a rectangle. It's a pain in the arse to light. It always looks crap. It's just like a beige square, and then you put Suggs in it. She's like, welcome to Citadel Masterclass. And then the rest of the time, I know they film the painting in the set, but they don't even show, like we show this desk. I stick some lights on it occasionally and be like, now it's brown, but with a slightly purple hue.
Member of the team, this desk.
Oh yeah, like you can see it, like I remember when I spilled the red contrast paint everywhere, there's some cyan yellow right next to it. Like it tells a story, it's a character. Like, you know, it's a very pretentious thing.
It's the fourth member.
Yeah, that's it. And then they cut to the painting and they put a black piece of paper down and do all the painting in front of that.
Could go anywhere, couldn't it?
So it could be done at the desks upstairs in the office.
Yeah.
And it could be like, they could set the camera up and, because that just goes onto a desk. So I was telling them, use them if you want to get closer. I remember the first masterclass they ever filmed was the painting faces, and whoever ordered the cameras didn't really get the best lens. They were like, "Oh, this is a really good quality lens," and it was like 70mm, but minimum focus distance is a thing, and a head is minuscule.
Yeah, okay.
And they had to zoom in and zoom in and zoom in to try and get this face. And I was just like, just use a macro lens. You can put the camera like that far away from it if you want to. And then as I was leaving, like 6 months later, they were like, "Oh wow, macro lenses are great." And that's what we paint on. Much to the detriment of the channel sometimes, because the Stormcast, we had an issue with one of the paints that we used. We resprayed it, and some people are commenting being like, "Oh, the detail's not very good on that, but you put your paint on too thick." And I was like, "No, that's and I'm like, yeah, we did, because we had to prime it twice.
I forgot about that.
And it's like you can see every single.
And also, like if the spray like gets a bit of like coolness, like from the cold temperature, it has a bit of a weird bubbliness.
Yes, there's been quite a lot of that.
There's not much you can do.
No, it's just like
for macro lenses, we'll find you out.
Yeah, that's it. So if Citadel Masterclass goes only hands, that set is 100% a complete waste of money. I mean,
more so than it already was.
Yes, because it's a crap set, I think, to film in. I think it's a bit rubbish, or it's not utilised particularly well. And they could just do it anywhere.
Well, I know there's a lot of people at head office that were really angry about those sets being made because that was the gym.
It was the gym.
Yeah, there was the cardio gym, which is what is the YouTube, because you have like Masterclass, which was the actual like full on gym bulking up kind of thing. Then you had the cardio one with the running machines and stuff, which is where the YouTube one was. And there's the green screen, which was part of that. And then where
the green screen is completely pointless.
Oh yeah, no, it became like Raf's desk.
Yeah, and it curves into the floor, but completely stops. So I'm like, right, if it curves into the floor, it should go further, so you could like completely green screen it. So it's like things have been thought through a little bit, but they're just so impractical. Like all the sets that have been put in are permanent. They should be movable.
Yeah,
and like the Battle Report studio. That was where they used to film all the how to plays. So the guys that do
For the Emperor,
I'll beat them out. When they do all the videography for the like, here the new World Eaters and all the cool slidey shots and smoke and all that kind of stuff. They used to put loads of effort in. This is how you play Age of Sigmar, and there was a cool video, and had wicked backdrops, and they'd build sets. But then that got taken away for the shiny new toy of Warhammer Plus. And the Battle Report set went in, and it's like they were like, "Can we film a how to play in that studio?" No, it's Warhammer Plus Studio now. We don't want that set anywhere else because it just has to be Battle Report. And it's like, why didn't you just? Can you let us cover it up? Can you do anything? And like those guys, how to plays, like the Age of Sigmar one that Pat Price did. That was his first
I remember that.
role when he was there. That set looks amazing, and they've got a smoke machine and got lights coming through and this, that, and the other. And they've filmed so many of them over the years, and they know about set building, but they weren't talked to.
Yeah.
So one thing I learned from
Xenos
was don't show corners in your set. I mean, this is why I think when you guys first came in here, you were like, oh, it's a lot smaller than it used to. Because if you have corners, I'm going to cut to the wide angle here because people are sick of me talking. If you hide the corners, it hides the shape of the room, and it makes it look bigger. So you'll notice in the bat reps to begin with, they just have these massive corners, and then as you go further through, they put like plants in the way.
I see. Yeah, so
and it was like someone very experienced in the business knew that and would have said, no, you want to do it like this. But someone went, no, I don't want to talk to them. I'm going to talk about, I just want to focus on the shape of the brick.
You see what's really weird with that is, because I've seen it, is like sometimes some of the folks that run departments may know a little bit about a thing, but not a lot about a thing. And a Google search later, or like a quick ask a friend kind of job, you're like, oh, I'm an expert at this now, I'll go and run it. And usually it's not as good as it could be. But I remember when we did that Andy Serkis interview, and we went to this place in London, and it was like a media company ran it, and they had this whole studio. And I think the studio was rented, but this group came down to do the filming. My God, everything was like so well. It was like a well-oiled machine. Yeah, and I could see like the guys I were with were just like, yeah, we need to up our game a bit. This because the producer knew his stuff. Yeah, and he had like this command and control center with all these screens, and then the guy who had like the iPad would come up to him, whisper in his ear. Then he'd go off to a photographer, and the photographer he'd be like that, and the photographer was like, cool, so he'd like zoom in a little bit more on Andy or whatever. Cool. So it was all these like hand signals, communication constantly going off. It was so well run. Yeah, and I was just like, when we I think it was when Adam Trope was interviewing Andy Serkis, I wasn't looking at that. I was like just mesmerised by what everyone was doing. Because it was just so intriguing. The thing you said about Battle Report made me giggle, because I remember when that was first launching, it was around the back end of like the isolation of COVID. Most people have been still working at work. A lot of people are filtering back into the office, and I'd still doing the odd little online gaming. On Twitch. Yeah. So I did like some remote games on Twitch and stuff. And I was getting built up to do a kill team. Before the new kill team came, I was going to do this Gaunt's Ghost set of scenarios, which was based off a book, Guns of Tanith. So I did loads of Blood Pact. I did a bunch of Tanith guys, and I was going to do like Q's, a bit of a baddie, and get him to kill like one of the main Tanith guys that happens in the book and stuff like that. So I had all this game planned and stuff. And I was like talking to the boss at the time, and he was just like, "No, we're not going to do that anymore because that will compete with Battle Report." And I'm like, my room with a A4 cardboard box and 2 webcams is going to compete with Battle Report.
Yes, and be more engaging.
I was never. I was just like, okay. I mean, I really wanted to run this game, and I was like, cool. Can we do it in Battle Report? I was like, no, because it's crossing the streams. That's not what you do. And I was like, okay, so I can't play games then.
No.
Until they ran out of staff and then needed me to join in the game. That's when I could join.
Well, because everyone was ill.
Yeah.
And then was that the Warcry one?
That's the Warcry.
Yeah.
Then it became apparent. Maybe we should use this guy a bit more from time to time. He likes playing games.
Literally once more.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like top tier gamer at all, but I like to have fun. I like to drive a narrative and stuff.
Yeah, I think the bat rep with you and Simon, like the Garden Votann one, easily one of my favourite ones.
It was fun. I mean, I got
They know it was what bit it was my favourite one, just for the
they don't
like it up.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I got away with that.
I was shocked that made it.
I remember watching it at home. I nearly spat me tea across the living room.
Just a Corporal Jones reference. I mean, that's the other thing. Is like, there's a lot of young lads that probably never seen Dad's Army, but just like that sounds legit. We'll put it in.
I mean, to be fair, like I remember watching Dad's Army when I was little because my dad watched it, but I didn't get the reference. I just thought it was really funny. I just had images of you as a guardsman shoving a bayonet up a dwarf's arse.
Yeah.
There we go.
Which is not too far away from what Corporal Jones was actually getting at, wasn't it?
I'm just going to chuck in a bit of devil's advocate back to the faceless thing.
Yeah.
I just because I like to ponder. I like to give like arguments for and against. And we're talking about like the race and diversity thing. Maybe by removing faces, that doesn't become an issue because it's just a voice then.
Yeah. I mean, if it was just like gloved hands.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I'm thinking
not for
of.
me.
No, but I mean, is that the thought process behind it? It's like, there's a lot of people against it because we only employ women now for YouTube videos, even though that's not true.
Yeah.
And how do we deal with like making it accessible to all cultures and creeds? Just remove the face. I mean, obviously there's still the voice there. There's still male and female.
And if they can translate it, it will appeal to a wider audience around the world.
Yeah. So if I'm putting my devil's advocate hat on, I can see the positives.
And I think we should. I feel like I've spoken a bit more seriously than I usually do.
Well, it's a serious. I mean, we'd like what people would be watching this thing. Chuck it in the comments. What your thoughts are? Do you think it's the right thing to do? Do you think it's a weird thing to do, or do you think you don't care?
Yeah.
You're not bothered. You'll still watch regardless.
I feel like we need some comic relief.
Yeah.
No, it was a heavy. It's been a heavy episode for us, though.
I mean, what have you been up to?
I've got no trousers on. It's not normally our fallback, isn't it?
Yeah, Bob Ross is down there again.
What is it?
I know you do well here, but you've got to work down there.
Oh,
what does Bob Ross say
I never barber past the neck.
When he's dye brushing, you got to beat the devil out of it.
Oh yeah.
I'll beat the devil out of you. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, that's terrifying.
And there we go, back to normal.
Yeah, back to like an apple core.
I think some elements of Warhammer Plus are obviously just a bit of a trigger for me.
Well, I know, but I mean, you lived it, didn't you? I mean, you were there, and you saw like some weird decisions, and I mean, I think for me, I was at the point then anyway that I was just like, that's just another day in the office for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's just normal. I mean, because you were an external that's come in and you had your own process, and you're like, this is weird. Why? But I've obviously like been there so long that I'm so used to that kind of level of non-creatives telling creatives how to do. I mean, it was something Liz showed me, and it was like a statement. And it's something I think a lot of businesses should follow, including Workshop, which is you should always employ people more intelligent than you.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
Because that's how you grow a business. That's how so like if you're managing like me, if I was managing army painters, I'd want my army painters to be faster, better, come up with all the cool, like weird hacks than I ever did. And that's how you make a successful team is get rid of your ego going, oh, they're all better than me.
Yeah,
I'm going to stamp them down and put them in their place. You're like, no, you could make that grow.
You really want a team that everybody on it is biting at the heels of your job.
Yeah,
you really want that.
Yeah, because if Duncan was really successful, and then left. Like if I was in that position, I'd be like, right, okay, let's try and have 3 more Duncans.
Yeah.
And have like a really big team.
Yeah.
And because for a lot of people, and then I guess potentially for a lot of the presenters, like that is the job. That's like the dream job, like doing painting, presenting for the company that make all the games. Like that would be phenomenal. But then then all of the restrictions on it, and like you can only use this many paints or that many brushes or this, that, and the other.
Got to use a tile. You can't have a wet palette.
Yeah,
all of them.
yeah, and like something I think you said when you were chatting to Jeff in like the first chat show that we did was like, you know, the creativity should come from like the model, and like that should alter the process of how you do it.
Yeah, which is the way we always used to handle paint guides.
Yeah,
which was like you look at the model and you work your way around all the colour.
Yeah,
which is what we do. But yeah, you're right. You don't just have like a. And again, this is something I've learned over the years, which is a format should work around creativity, not creativity should work to a format.
Yeah.
And it was an old manager in charge of publications said that, because it was during the time we did a how to paint tanks book, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before. It's funny, and there was space boxes on pages, and it was like I think 3 boxes across with text underneath it, and it took me I think 3 or 4 stages to do some rust on a tank, and I was told, can you either make it 3 or 6? And I was like, what do you mean? It was like, well, we only have space to do 3 boxes down, so it's 3 that way, 3 that way, 3 that way. So your rust needs to be either 3 or 6. I was like, it's 4. No, it can't be 4. I was like, it's 4. I'm so, and I remember Dave Andrews going, it's 4. Find a way to make it fit, and that became like a top tip box. So the 2 became top tips. But it was just so funny that I was just like, no, the format says you can't do 4.
Yes.
So I always used to find that quite funny when you get like non-creative mindsets just going, but you've now ruined the equilibrium of my page.
Which I guess is an issue of due to being so big, having all these big departments, and the design, the guy that designed it would have gone, well, this looks really nice and this is the best design. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, this painter wants to change it, and this one is different to every single other one, and that looks rubbish. It's like, got to kill your darlings.
I mean, I remember doing little layouts. When I was talked about in a previous one where we used to, alongside Codex, used to do these big paint guides like the Sons of Fenris or the Sons of Sanguinius. I used to do like a little mock-up of what I think we were going to do for all the different, like get all the different painters, and we'll go, oh, we'll do this space, we'll do this many colours for this thing, we'll do the power armor, we'll do that. How many stages you reckon for plasma gun? 4? Okay, we'll put 4 boxes. Let's put 5 just in case you go over, because I know what you like with your glow is. And put that there. That could be top tips. I would give this like mock-up layout sometime, not to all, because there was a couple of graphic designers that knew their
Deviant.
Yeah. Excuse me, I just swore. I've never done that before on this show. I do apologise. Edit that out.
I'm going to leave that in.
And
mouth on him.
I know, potty mouth. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, young children. I do apologise. That was terribly wrong. Don't do it.
Heresy.
So I did this little layout, and some of the newer folks just followed it, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, we're just following your layout." I was like, "I'm not a layout guy. They're just like little boxes to give you an idea how many spaces you need. Don't follow my layout. It's rubbish." Well, yeah, bless him. But that's what happens when you knew.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes you just get people that don't know what they're doing, and people that are really new, and they're all in the same department. So, that happens anywhere.
I'm still giggling at the blindfolded cow milking.
I can't take credit for that. That was on I think it was on Northern Ireland Radio. You know, after the whole the whole thing blew up with regards to Jimmy Savile, and they were doing an article on it. And someone said, if you had any experiences of Jimmy Savile, can you get in touch with the show? And someone wrote that in, and the news, the DJ on the radio read it out. She read it out, and then after the news, she had to go, we think we may have been pranked with them.
You think?
It's like, do you remember that? Did you ever see Carol Kirkwood? She does the weather on
yes,
breakfast. She does the
I only know her from Strictly. Yeah, well, on Strictly once.
Someone said, she said, get in touch and tell us how, she said, it's raining across the country. Get in touch and tell us how wet it is where you are. and she read out, she said, John from Cumbria's been in touch, and he said, it's up here, it's wetter than an otter's pocket. And she read that out. She read it out on the air. I did want to, I've never heard that expression before.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I can't, as much as I'd love to take credit for the line pulled as well, milking a cow, I unfortunately can't.
Anything more hilarious and equally embarrassing than getting a news anchor to read out something
Really?
so bad?
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Oh.
Oh,
Was it like Radio 1 used to do innuendo bingo?
oh God, innuendo bingo was phenomenal.
Yeah, where it would be like, I've never listened to Radio 1, but one of the videos came up on YouTube recently, and it's like two people sat there with mouths full of water, and then they'll listen to
Things that have been said in the
people
news
say-
that week,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah. And there was one from Downton or something like that.
It reminds me a bit like the dad jokes thing where you get two people across the table from each other. And
Yeah, try not to.
try not to laugh. Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
going for.
Well,
Oh, sensational.
So, anything else you want to touch on before, or are we done? Is that?
We're
just like a big pile of rage, that one mainly.
I don't know, Rage. I just think it was just.
I don't know, Pat got quite angry one.
Did he?
well,
Yeah.
Well, about a backdrop for sure.
yeah, it was quite.
The weirdest of things that kick him off.
Yeah, I've got my hand ups.
Really?
No. I think I'm not like some set design wizard. I know one thing about sets, and it's cover your corners, because someone I respect and hold in high regard told me that once.
Yeah, but that's the difference between you, is you listened.
Maybe.
You listened to someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. No, clearly, I thought going into this, I was like, I'm probably going to have a lot of opinions. So apologies if I've
No, I mean that's a great thing about.
too passionate on this.
Well, I'll change the subject for a second. For those asking about where we are now, it's the new year, because we had a quite cool message about someone going, it's been a week already. What's going on with Necromunda?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, but by now they will have been curtailed, because they'll have had a video out already telling them where we are with Necromunda, because we did quite a full show about it last
Last week's one.
last week's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
I was going to say, I mean, a bit of a cheeky pipeline thing is like, me and you got some painting videos that are requirements that we need to do. We're still working through the guard one. We've done a guard one, a big guard painting video, how to paint an army.
Yeah.
forward.
Then we've kind of done the 10 regiments, so we're working on that. We've got some other little commitments to do, sponsored stuff, and then we will start doing. I mean, right after
we're going to do a test game.
we're going to do a
That's
test
what I
game.
was going to say.
right after-
That's what I was going
We're not going
right
to talk about anything else. You can sign up to Patreon if you want to, and all that sort of stuff. Let's go and play games.
Let's go play games. Yeah.
So yeah, Patreon, Element Games, Pocket Money Thief if you're German.
Yeah.
I'm not attempting to say it in German.
Dashin does keep.
And please, if you
I
can.
must just practice that every day.
No. I think it's just stuck in my head. I don't, and I'm very self-conscious about doing it wrong, so I say it in a silly Terminator voice.
And if you're abroad, also, are we Amazon now as well?
No, I
Not
think
quite yet.
we have access to the Amazon affiliate program, so we can do
Maybe
things,
that in
but
the future.
the description just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's all down there.
I'm-
Is that the way to put it?
Yeah,
Like and
it's all
describe.
down there.
Yeah,
Like and describe is what I'm calling it now.
like and subscribe.
No, it's like and describe. That's what I call it.
That's how you mean all of that. Yeah, it's the problem, isn't it? Is you get as the show goes on and you do better and you get more things going on. The end of the show becomes longer than the show, doesn't it?
Yeah. I am conscious about someone asked in the Discord. They were like, "Oh, have you thought about having an affiliate program with this UK-based shop?" And I'm like, "We do Element Games already."
Yeah.
We had an email from someone else saying, "Hey, do you want to do one with us?" And it's like, I don't want 3. One is good. So Element Games works for us.
And they're nice to us, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that somebody might offer us a better deal or whatever. But I did like a
Yeah, put some figures on some paper and we'll think about it.
yeah. But also I don't just want to just go with people just because we might get 2% more
Yeah.
income
yeah.
or something like that.
I mean, just Element Games round the corner.
Yeah.
Shop and local and all that.
Yeah. That's it.
So
So there we go. That's another.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
that's been a bit of an interesting episode, hasn't it?
Well, we'll soon find out. We'll see. We'll check the views later.
Yeah.
Let's play some Necromunda.
Yeah.
Now that sounds like a good way to end an episode, doesn't it?
Oh,
Sorry, guys, you're not going to see this bit. I do apologise. The camera's going to go black. You won't be able to see our test game.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thanks.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.